cigarettes, tobacco. A few years ago, my organization commissioned a poll, and we asked the question, how many of you would support a federal law in the next 5 or 10 years to make cigarettes illegal under federal law? And to my surprise, 46% of Americans said yes. And the highest levels of support, like 55, 57%, were among two groups: conservative, religious people, and young people. Not often that young people, conservative, religious people come out with the same numbers. You don't tend to see that on most polls, on most things. But on this issue. Now, I want to ask you the question. What would happen if we, in fact, were to criminalize, prohibit cigarettes? I mean, God knows cigarettes are a nightmare in our society. You have 300,000 to 400,000 people dying each year from premature death, lung cancer, emphysema, all these other things related to cigarettes. And remarkably addictive things. You know, my daughter, the thought that she would start smoking cigarettes, she knew, the way some people are about other drugs, that's the way I am about cigarettes. My dad probably died prematurely because he smoked a pack a day of cigarettes. Right? I hate cigarettes. I absolutely hate cigarettes. And a lot of people do. And we all know how terrible they can be. We all know how addictive they can be. Right? So ban them, right? Make them illegal, right? They're terrible. If it's a terrible thing, you should be ban it. If you don't want somebody to do something, you should ban it, right? And I actually think we're kind of heading that way. I support a lot of these increased tax stuff and these restrictions on the time and place about where you can smoke it. I think a lot of these tough regulatory policies are the good right way to go. But do we know when to stop? You ask young people about banning cigarettes, and they think, well, here a ban, there a ban, everywhere a ban. Why not ban cigarettes? Right? So what if we do? What will happen? Well, I'll tell you this. One thing that'll happen, I think that the number of people who smoke and the number of people dying from tobacco-related illness will drop. Because it means the price of cigarettes will get even higher than it is now. It means that people who don't want to break the law won't get it, right? There will be a clear benefit if we criminalize and prohibit cigarettes. What else will happen? Will we become a tobacco-free society? No. Will millions and millions of Americans continue to smoke? Yes. Where will they get those cigarettes from? Well, it's going to have to be illegally now. It might be boom times back in the Carolinas again. Because all of a sudden their tobacco will be worth 10, 20 times a day. And those Colombian and Mexican narco-trafficantes, forget about the narco, let's just call it tobacco trafficking, because that's where the big money's going to be. What else is going to happen? Young people, hey, the forbidden fruit of cigarettes makes it that much more sexy and cool for me, right? How are people going to be smoking cigarettes? Well, you're not going to get it in packs of 20 nice and roll with a filter. Unfiltered is going to be the way to go, right? And because you don't want to be caught, I think we're going to see tobacco being consumed in different forms. Maybe more like crack, a little pipe, something discreet, so that you won't be as odorous as tobacco is when you're lingering on a cigarette right now. What's the government going to do? Well, I think they're going to need state and federal and local tobacco enforcement agencies. I think they're going to need to hire undercover agents and use informants. I think they're going to need to encourage young people to inform on their fellow hidden tobacco smokers. We're going to need a new federal agency, the Tobacco Enforcement Administration, the TEA, right? With a budget of multi-billions of dollars. And the billions of dollars being earned by federal, state, and local governments from tobacco tax, that's gone. Instead, who's going to be earning the tobacco tax revenues? It's going to be the organized criminals. You know what people are going to say about tobacco? Anybody touches it, you die. That's it. Now the question is that worth it? Is that worth it? We can reduce the number of people who smoke cigarettes and die of cancer and other diseases by making a tobacco prohibition, but But the cost will be levels of violence, crime, corruption, people dying from adulterated substances, billions of dollars being wasted on a tobacco war.